Wait, I have a funny. Do you know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby. And that being said, welcome to another podcast with me, almost your favorite, Henry Rollins, and
Heidi May.
And let me tone down the lion.
I like the lion.
I like the lion. She likes the lion. And let me cue up Jackhammer, because you know it's coming. Okay, Jackhammer's ready.
All right.
All right, my friend, what do you have for us today?
I'm really full.
I'll say.
Well, we just ate at Toy on Sunset.
And Heidi's like a leopard after the kill. She's eaten most of the impala, and now she's going to go for 72 hours of sleep on a high branch so the hyenas don't get to her.
I'm happy today. Henry's in a better mood today.
I started off kind of bad.
Yeah, and then I almost choked you out.
You came in to the office, and you went for prolonged attacks on me that made me screech like a baby pterodactyl.
Right, exactly.
It was threatening. You came all the way in here.
Yeah.
Clippity-clop, and then you just like went.
Yeah, because I can't take it anymore. The bad mood, I'm empathetic. I'm sympathetic.
That's really nice.
For 2 weeks. And then go to counseling.
Go to counseling.
Get on meds or something.
How about both?
Here's your choice. Counseling, meds, or I choke you out. Because I'll
take the choke out.
I do not want to get it all over me. Your bad mood. Yeah. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
Oh, you haven't been in a bad mood for 2 weeks?
I don't know.
Oh.
I am nervous. I'm a nervous person. I just want a job.
Henry, my God, we're going to another meeting today.
I can't wait.
I'm trying to get you a job.
I just want to get a job.
We're getting you a job.
Get a job.
Sha-na-na-na. Okay. So, Henry.
Yes, ma'am.
Today.
I'm going to be real good today.
Promise?
Yes, ma'am.
If you're not good, can I kick you in the shin?
Yeah. That's what you also said. I'm going to kick you in the shin so hard. Like
you'll forget about your depression.
You'll forget about my depression. Yeah.
And I am sympathetic towards depression. But there comes a point
where I'm just a pain in the ass.
Well, and you're just mean.
Mean? I don't have a mean bone in my body.
Oh, okay.
I think some people feel that they're being a bit put upon. Look at that look.
Like I'm speechless. I'm speechless.
The glare.
I wish people could see what it's like before the mics are on. The darkness.
The darkness. The darkness.
Brother to alone. No, brother to darkness and alone.
Why don't you riff on that for the LA Weekly, Henry? See ya. I was working on the LA Weekly thing last night, and sometimes, once I have the idea, I can just get right to work, but sometimes I can't get the idea. And so Heidi May left the office yesterday, and she said, "What are you going to write your LA Weekly article about?" And I said, I don't have anything. And as she left, she said, brother to darkness and alone, riff on that. Try not to miss me too much. Bye. Like, thanks a lot. Thanks for the non-help.
You're welcome.
So what do you have for us today,
Henry,
Heidi May?
Today I would like to talk about your job, one of your first jobs.
Okay.
At the pet store.
Oh. Very quickly, there was a local pet shop in my old neighborhood on Wisconsin Avenue, right below Calvert Street. The exact street address I forget. I think it's a tennis racket repair place now. Anyway, it used to be Friendly Beasties, the local pet shop. And I bought my first rat there, as I had a pet rat. He was really fun.
What was his name?
Crusher. Crusher, the Irish black rat. He was black with a little white patch of fur right under his chin. He was a great rat. He was my pal. But they live a couple of years and then they die. And so I would go into that store all the time. Hey, can I play with this? Can I touch that? What does that do? I was just curious. And I was probably one of a few neighborhood kids would go in there and bug the hell out of the owner, a guy named Skip. And so one day I'm in there and Skip has a monkey named Morgan the monkey. And I don't know if he ever tried to sell them, and I honestly do not remember whatever became of Morgan the monkey. I went in there one day.
How old were you when you started this job?
I got the job like 7th or 8th grade, I think. So 12 or 13. I'm doing like super part-time. A couple of afternoons a week, mainly learning. But a lot of pet shop work is like, hey, clean this cage. Hey, clean that cage. Clean a bunch of cages. And then you learn how to feed the animals and you learn other stuff. But mainly it's a lot of cleaning. Anyway, I went in there one day with a bunch of time-consuming questions for this totally haggard, hardworking guys. Like, oh, nah, this kid again with all the questions. I was that boy. And Morgan the monkey is out. And it's kind of weird for a little boy to come upon a monkey, because they're pretty intense animals. They're not always friendly. And when they don't want to be monkey will, tear your ear off.
Or throw poo.
Well, you'd be getting off easy if that's all it was. If they attack you, it can be very bad for you, even when they're small. Anyway, it was not a squirrel monkey, and I'm not really good on monkeys. It was something else, or maybe it was a squirrel monkey and my memory's hazy, but it had some size to it. And the monkey sees me, and either I scared it or I was afraid of it, and it smelled it, or it reacted to me in a very aggressive manner. It jumps on me and grabs my head and starts biting my head and ripping out clumps of my hair. I'm so glad you find this funny. That's great. And so I'm standing there. I don't know what to do.
You know why? Because the monkey doesn't want to be in a pet store, by the way.
And so he takes it out on me?
Well,
yeah.
Why not?
Great. Thanks. Thanks, pal. And so I'm basically standing there going, ah, ah! And Skip takes the monkey off me, and I'm completely hyperventilating, just, pretty traumatized. And I think he kind of felt bad about it because, unwarranted attack of a little boy, because he's thinking, oh, parents, this isn't going to be great. So he goes like, would you like a job here? I think maybe it was a peace offering. And I said, yeah. And he said, okay. And so I started cleaning cages. That was my training. And more I get into it. He would teach me freshwater fish. He never taught me anything about saltwater fish, but here's freshwater fish. Here's how you deal with parrots. And this is an African gray parrot. Here's a double yellow-headed parrot, and all these different beautiful birds. And here's how you deal with these animals. And it was all fascinating to me. And he was a fish tank maintenance guy for government buildings downtown. He'd take me with him. He'd go in some big government building. Some custodian would let you in. We're there after hours, and he would pay me some money and take me up for a hamburger afterwards. And he was kind of like a friendly dad type figure. He's a really good guy. Taught me a ton about animals. Anyway, after a while, I became really good at doing everything in there. I'm a quick learner, really into it. And at some point, somewhere in there, 8th, 9th grade or thereabouts, I've got the key to the store, because I was entrusted with opening the store early, because you got to air out the place, get everyone fed and cleaned. Make sure there's no casualties overnight, because customers can't see a dead animal. Go through the fish tanks, note any dead fish, write it down. So there's a good 90 minutes or 2 hours of prep work. So I'd go in the morning and kind of beat him there by an hour and just kind of get going on the cats and the birds. Then the real menial work. Then he'd come in and do the more difficult stuff. And that became our routine. But at a very early age, I learned how to work a cash register, give you money back from a $20 bill. And he taught me how to do all of that. I got real good at it. And then I'm learning inventory. And I'm going to the fishery with him and selecting fish and kind of learning the ropes. And it was a place I could go. So after school, I'm not running around with the bad kids. I'm going to work. I'm making money. And I really enjoyed the autonomy. I enjoyed not being around the apartment, which could be a little nerve-wracking. Gave me something to do and something to be proud of. I've got a job.
It was an escape for you.
Yeah.
Is this where you fell in love with snakes?
Yes. And that was a big reason I wanted to work there, was to get access to the reptiles. Because he had some great boa constrictors that he used at birthday parties and stuff. They're just really docile. And so I learned to maintain those, all kinds of different lizards. He had a large African bullfrog, which eats mice. I mean, it was a fascinating animal. He actually, for a little while, had a yellow anaconda, which is a very difficult animal to maintain. And I got a lot of amazing scar tissue on my left leg from where that guy lamped onto me one day. Anyway, things were going really well. And that was, for a few years, Skip owned the place, and we really ran it very normal, like animals in, animals out, feed, and our normal customers. And then Skip, for some reason, sold the shop and just went into fish tank maintenance all the time. Him in his car, and he's like servicing 100 million fish tanks. The pet shop was bought by a guy who I really don't know anything about. He swoops in all of a sudden, new boss. He's got his wife, two very beautiful young children, a boy and a girl, and he has like his best friend, who's also going to be working there and running the place, but he's not really an owner, but he's a friend. And I make friends with this new boss, and if things are going well, I'm basically teaching these three people, the wife and the two men, here's your pet shop, here's how you run it. They're just like rich people, like, let's get a pet shop.
How long had you been working there?
A few years.
Okay.
And there's another guy there named Myron. He's a local guy in the neighborhood, really good guy. And Myron was really good, like knew his fish, knew his parrots, like really great with animals. So it was Myron and I going, okay, here's your order, here's where you order your fish. And we just kind of helped orientate these guys into this place they now own. So here's these young people telling the adults, here's how you do it. And so they got very ambitious. They start breeding and selling Abyssinian cats, beautiful animals. So a different kind of clientele is coming in, and there needs to be more maintenance. We're getting more into exotic animals. Like the kittens are gone. Now it's red, normal cats. We're getting red Abyssinians, more high-priced the parakeets are gone, and now it's parrots. And so it's a different store now. We need more personnel. So this guy says, so do you have anyone else that you can hire? Because there's just so much work to do now. I said, yeah, I got my pal Ian. I'll bring Ian in.
Oh, boy.
And Ian in those days, he's just a total prankster. Like always had this smirk. Like he was always trying to see if there's something he could disrupt. And
I love it.
he would corrupt me because I'm like Boy Scout, got to do this work.
And very serious.
And super serious. And he is just like, And so I bring him into the pet shop, and immediately everything gets crazy. And we start using the pet shop as the place and we're using the customers, the three owners and their two children, as the unwitting straight men in our intense avant absurdist comedy routines. And we went immediately to work just being total goofs. And there's some stories, I've told before many years ago, and these are just some of the best stories I've ever had are from these pet shop days, because Ian and I were very young, and we were very sure that we were hilarious. And on our own, like if you split us up, we're very safe. But when you put us together, like one guy eggs on the other guy, as you do when you're young and stupid, it's like, oh no, we're dangerous. And so just a few of the things that we did, Ian came up with this idea to create superheroes. And we had this idea. We had these large bags of cedar shavings for kennel bedding. You put your dog on it, whatever. It smells very nice. And when, animal waste hits it, the smell neutralizes the animal waste. Anyway, they came in like 25 and 50 pound bags. We'd sell the 25 pound bags all the time. The 50 pounders, not so often, but we used them because we're using them in 20 cages at a time. So, and we also had the same thing with cat litter, with these impossibly like Purina dog chow bag size bags of cat litter. We would use all these up. And so at one point we cut a head space and arm spaces out on the 50 pounders of cedar shavings and cat litter, and then took like 10 pound bag size ones and put eye holes and mouth holes. So you put the big one on for your body plating, kind of like Iron Man. And you put the other thing on, it becomes like this like 3 foot high kind of stovepipe helmet thing where you look like some, something out of Metropolis. And we go out on the sidewalk in front of the pet shop, like walking into the parking lane of Wisconsin Avenue, kennel bedding man, that was Ian. I think I might have been cat litter man. And you'd hold a bag of the cat litter, like, I'm kennel bedding man, come in to Friendly Beasties. And we'd like stop people on the sidewalk. They're like walking up. We're like, hey, cat litter, it tastes great. Like, we're promoting it as a food item. Meanwhile, there's customers in the shop and no one to attend to them because these two idiots are outside with these stupid outfits on. And the owner of the shop had these two kids. The girl, we never saw much of. She would just go away with the mom. But the boy would be left with us. Like, these owners, they didn't really want to do any work, so they'd leave it for us, hence more employees. So it'd be me and Ian, and sometimes me, Ian, and Myron. And the others are off getting coffee and smoking and whatever they're doing. So we have the place to ourselves, but they'd leave little Johnny, the little boy, who's great. He's just like a rambunctious little guy. They'd leave him with us, like, take care of the kid because we're going to go be adults. We're like, really? We have a pet shop to clean and your kid? No problem. We'll take care of your kid. And so Ian, we have an empty cat cage, pretty big pen. Ian goes, all right, come on, Johnny. Locks him in the cage. Let me out. Shh, be quiet. Oh. And we had an index cards for like signs, like what's for sale at the pet shop. And we just put little kid, free, take him. And we just would put him in the cage.
Was the kid crying?
No, he's like, let me out.
Okay. And
we were dangling grape sodas in front of him, like, you want a grape soda?
Oh, my God. You guys are
I want a grape soda. We said, we'll give you 2 grape sodas if you sit in there for half an hour. Okay. And he would totally take the bribe. And, of course, we would pay for the grape sodas out of the cash register, out of a machine next door to the pet shop for only 25 cents for a soda. Anyway, we put the kid in, and customers come in. And the kid's like, let me out. Like, you have a little boy. Like, would you like him? We have his papers. Like, get him out of here. And we also had the front display window of the pet shop. And, Easter time, you have rabbits and cedar shavings. And one day it was empty because we were between displays. We put the kid in there. We put Johnny in there. Like, just go sit in the front window for a while. We put a sign in front, live kid for sale. Come and get him.
God.
And this is how we would pass the time. Like, John and his friend and the wife would come back in, and there's like Johnny either in a cage or in the front window.
Were the parents upset?
They're like, would you please not do that? Like, they knew we were funny, and they just didn't want to really give us too much steam.
Can I request my favorite story? Yeah. Can you tell everyone about the pajama story?
Oh, okay. Ian had come to the conclusion that we were working too hard and getting up too early on Saturday mornings. Because Saturday is your big day of retail because everyone's off work. They can come in and get their animal food and everything else. If you're going to buy a puppy, you're going to get it on Saturday so the whole family can come down. So Saturday is a big day. And we have to go into the pet shop really early. Air it out, get everyone cleaned, fed, and taken care of. And I have the key to the pet shop. That was like my first major responsibility in my life. They gave me the key to the store. I had it for years, actually. And so I would let us in, and we just got to do drudgery. Like, wow, a lot of cat pans to clean. Well, it wasn't fun, but you had to do it, obviously, and get everyone all fed up. And so Ian decided that we were going to intersperse our work with naps. But in order to be comfortable for nap time, we had to be in pajamas. So we get to the pet shop early, we muck out all the stalls, we clean all the cages, and then I have a Sears and Roebuck plaid flannel nightshirt right out of Dickens.
That's like Fred Mertz.
Exactly. But it's like comes down to your ankles. My mom got it for me. It's pretty effective on a cold night, actually. And so I've got those and some slippers that my father had given me because they were too small for him. And he had actually cut toe holes out for his big toe. I can't use these, you take them. And
thanks.
They're like canoes on me because he's a tall guy. And so I've got these ridiculous leather lamb fur lined slippers on with these like square holes cut out of them. Ian is in his mother's bathrobe with her slippers.
What kind of slippers?
Pink bunny rabbit slippers. We have taken out 50-pound bags, these massive bags of cedar shavings. Ian has arranged them on the floor like a futon. So he's asleep. The door's open. Pet Shop's open for business. It's like 10 a.m. Ian's curled up, asleep. I have kind of draped myself over the counter next to the cash register. I look like I'm in a drunken stupor, but in pajamas. We look utterly ridiculous. People come into the pet shop and like they're talking and they immediately like, oh, someone's sleeping. And they start, you hear them taking things off but quietly, but someone needs to get like some parrot food. Would you have to shovel it into a bag, weigh it? Like, excuse me. And like someone taps Ian and he's like, and it would go tight. He went tighter into a ball. And finally someone came up to me and tapped me on the shoulder. And I was like, waved my arm. Leave me alone. We did this for like 7 minutes with at least 2 or 3 people in the store.
I love how polite people were.
And they're like,
they're sleeping.
Excuse me. Could you, I need to buy this. And I'm like, what do you want? And then our boss comes in and he sees us and one of us actually had a nightcap on. I forget, either me or Ian. And we just looked utterly ridiculous. And he went, so let me guess. We're having a sleepover at the pet shop. We're like, yeah, what do you think? He's like, he's at the end of his rope, but he knows he needs us. He's like, would you please change your clothes and get back to work? And so when we had Myron working there, we had line 1 and line 2 for a pet shop that gets 10 people a day in it. For some reason, we had 2 lines. And so you could put someone on hold and switch them over, and so we had this, hold system, old school buttons against the wall. And so someone would call, do you guys carry hamsters? We're like, hold on a minute. I'll transfer you to our rodent department. Click. Like, Myron, go get the upstairs phone. And Myron would go get on the upstairs phone and pick it up. This is Dr. Hamster. May I help you? Yes, I'd like to get a hamster. Let me refer you to our hamster breeding department. Back down to us. Hamster breeding. This is Ed. And the person's like, hook, line, and sinker. Hi, look, my daughter just wants to get a hamster. I don't want to breed a hamster. The poor guy, he's just trying to get his daughter off his back. Let me throw you back to Dr. Hamster. He can advise. Click. Myron, pick up. We did this for we would just see how many times we could do this before we could get someone to hang up. And one time, we had this massive fish tank full of feeder goldfish because people had predatory fish that ate fish. Like if you had a Jack Dempsey or an Oscar fish, you fed them goldfish. So if you want to feed your big fish, you got to come in and buy 10 or 25, 50 goldfish at a time from us. And some people would come in and it's clean us out. They had they had a bunch of angry fish that ate other fish. So we always had literally hundreds of 25-cent goldfish at a time in this massive tank. And it was also an easy pet for a young person. Hey, you want a fish? That's 25 cents. There you go. Some kid would come in on his own. Hey, I want to get a fish. There's your fish. Give me a quarter and voila, you're a fish owner. Here's some fish food. Get out of my office. Kid comes in one day. Unfortunately for him, me and Ian are there. Oh, no. And if we ever got bored, you were our victim. And so the kid comes in, I want to get a goldfish. And Ian and I are like, we got your goldfish. Come on up to the fish room. We take him upstairs to the fish department. Massive tank of goldfish. I said, so which one do you want? And he's it's like a Mack truck full
How
of
old
fish.
was this kid, would you say?
Oh, he's easily corruptible. Just, I don't know, very, very young. And I go, well, what about that one? Look at that one. It's like some white, orangish fishes stood out from the others. Yeah. I go, Ian, what do you think of that fish? And Ian's like, well, I've had 30 years in this business. He's like,
Meanwhile, he's 16.
Yeah, like that. I've had 30 years in this business, and that is easily the most amazing goldfish I've ever seen. I said, I have to tell you, Ian, that is the best goldfish I've ever seen. And the kid's getting all hyped up on the goldfish. And I'm very good with a net. you go in, follow the fish around, like snap your wrist, whoop, he's in the net. I make this very dramatic attempt to catch the fish. I'm chasing the fish all over. All the fish are going crazy. And he's like, oh, you're so close. And we're making it really dramatic, like a car chase. And finally, like, ah! And I get the fish. And I pull the fish out. And we put him in this like tank, this little cup of water. And I go, is that the fish you wanted? And the kid's like, yeah. So I dip him out of the little cup of water with a net. And I pick him up by his tail. And I hold the fish in front of the kid's face and go, this is the fish, right? And the kid's like, yeah. I go, are you sure? And the little fish is like, breathing, its gills are pumping. And he's like, yeah. Because he doesn't understand where this is going. Ian and I know exactly where it's going.
Where this is going.
Anyway, I'm like, greatest fish ever. He's like, yeah. And I went, and nope, I ate it.
Henry, that is so cruel. That's terrible. Did the boy cry?
The kid went, ah! And ran out of the shop.
Do you feel bad about that?
Let's see. No. So anyway.
God, what a turd.
About an hour later.
Such a turd.
The phone rings.
Okay.
And there's one of the owner guys on the phone. Yes, ma'am. He ate it. Whole? I see, because he just gulped it down. I am very sorry that your son is upset. We will be very happy to give your son a free goldfish if he would like to come in. Yes, you're right. 9 years old is a very impressionable age. I'm so sorry, man. Like, this is kind of went on like that, where he's like just calming his way down. And finally he hangs up the phone. He's like, okay. Can you please? He never got mad at us. Because I think he kind of thought we were funny. And he understood how incredibly bored we could get at a job like that. Can you please not eat a goldfish in front of a third grade child? Or whatever he said. And we would just do anything we could to kind of alleviate boredom.
Why don't you tell everyone what you did with the fish when they were dead?
Not my idea.
Whose idea was it?
In the fish department, there was two long walls. Imagine a rectangular room. The two long walls were rows and rows of fish tanks, like in rows. The previous owner, Skip, had built this wooden 2x4 shelving system that he had bolted into the wall with 2x4. So the thing can bear hundreds of pounds of water weight. Water's really heavy. And so between the real wall and the fish tanks was that compressed paper board, press board with like one hole per square inch. So like in preschool, you hang the hook and you hang your mittens on it or whatever. And he had that. And so there's like this 4-inch gap between the wall and this press board wall. So I'm teaching Ian the ropes of the pet shop. Okay, every morning we come in and you do a check on all the fish and you scoop out any dead fish. Here's the clipboard. You write it down and you take temperature on all the water. Make sure everything's right, because if you lose a tank of fish, probably the heater blew up and cooked them. I mean, it's just awful what could happen. Or the heater broke and the fish got cold and they died overnight. Whatever. But you got to be on this, and it's a long part of the day because you're dealing with every tank. And so I would scoop out, oops, dead angelfish. Okay, out it goes into the trash can. I go, and that's how you do that. He finds some fish, whatever it was, and a neon tetra, whatever, takes it out, and he looks up at that gap between the press board and the wall, and very adroitly flips the net, and the fish flies out and kind of hits the wall and goes and falls between the two walls. And I thought that was incredibly funny. And, we're just two young idiots kind of egging each other on. We disposed, and we taught this to Myron, who couldn't resist. And that's how we disposed of fish I think like all the way through high school.
For years?
For years. You just
Did
like,
it smell?
no, because the fish they're so small, and that room was pretty warm, and they just kind of dry out. You know, it's like you had this experience like where you can't find your aunt for like a month and a half, and like you find her, like she's behind the couch, like no one knew she's been dead for weeks. And like anyway.
I have not had that experience, but okay.
Well, I'm just saying, old buddy. So anyway, we do this for years, and obviously we can't look behind there. So years later, we're all grown up. This is like 100 years later. The pet shop is gone. It is now turned into a actually really good family-owned, family-run Italian restaurant, the name of which is escaping me at present. But it's like the family cooks the food, the family serves you the food. It's a real neighborhood joint. Because like this is a small building anyway. Ian and I decide one night, let's go in there. Let's go back to the pet shop and have dinner. What a novel idea. And I think I was there in town for my birthday or something. This is a long time ago. And so we sit down and this woman comes out. Hey, can I take your order? We said, hey, are you part of the family? She goes, yeah, I'm the daughter of my dad owns this place. I said, hey, we worked in this building for years when it was a pet shop. And she goes, oh yeah, I remember the pet shop. She says, yeah. I said, did you ever go upstairs and see that pressboard wall between the real wall? She said, yeah. I said, when you pulled it back, what was in there? And she said, oh, it was disgusting. All these like dead fish, and it was a nightmare. And we said, yeah, that was us. And she like, when are you going to get an opportunity like that? And we had to tell her like, yeah, that was our work in the 70s. That was some of our early routines. That's our mid to late 70s work. What do you think? And she was just like,
was she really mad?
She was so.
She didn't see any humor.
She was so pissed because it's probably her father with a spatula just having to spatula that stuff off the wall, like a 15-year dead cichlid had dried and gone into the plaster. So we copped to it, and we ate our food and split. And I've run into her years later, and we never talk about it. She actually is very nice to me now.
Did you guys work there through your whole high school?
Pretty much, yeah. And we both kind of stopped working there. When I graduated from high school, I was just kind of done with it. I'd been there a long time. And the new owners, they weren't new anymore. They kind of took the place in a weird direction. And they were having weird personal issues amongst themselves that would like some kind of like, I think there's a divorce brewing, and you're bringing all that into the pet shop. This job is no longer fun. We're doing the same thing all the time, but now it's just not cool. And we're burned out on it. So we both kind of left somewhere around my 12th grade year and Ian's 11th grade year.
Is this where you guys made your little pact about either rock and roll or comedy?
Yeah, right around that time, where Ian used to live, he used to live in the attic of this house that we all kind of grew up in. And he had the cool pad way upstairs. Basically, he had his own pad because you take these crazy, skinny, narrow stairs upstairs, and you have your own loft. Super hot. It was just unbelievable, but it was ours, or his. And he'd sit on his bed. I'd sit on a little chair with a turntable between us. And as you do, you just sit and play records and just talk for hours. But you play 45, so you're constantly maintaining the record player. You're feeding it. And we made this odd promise to each other that we're going to go out, when we're all grown up, we're going to go out into the world and either do comedy. We thought we were so funny.
Well, you guys actually are.
We thought we were like, Richard Pryor, get ready, because, here it comes. And so we made this pact that we were going to go out into the world and that we were going to do either a comedy or music, and that people were going to know who we were. And that was the big thing. Like, people are going to know us. And we actually shook on it. Like, okay, yeah. And it's the craziest proposition, because we're both like these two crazy teenagers when we did that. But then,
look.
like a summer later, Ian has his band. And then a year after that or so, I'm in a band. And then a year after that, I'm in another band. And then he's in another band, Minor Threat. And since, I think we kind of hit those marks in a way.
I'd say yes.
But it was weird that it started two guys alone. And whenever I visit DC, whenever I can, I will go up to that room and I'll sit where I used to sit. Like if you and I go to DC and we have time, if you want to go up in that room, I'll show you exactly where that went down. But that happened. And that was right around the time I was leaving the pet shop, maybe a little before we made that promise. But right around 79 or so.
Did you mean it when you made the promise? Like, did you feel that? Like,
I just thought that I had something, I was so unfocused because no one said, hey, you can be in a band. Hey, here's a microphone, go out there. No one had ever done that. So you figure you have aspirations. But it's so unfocused, you don't even know what you're saying. So you have all this energy and you know you want to go north, but you don't know which road. So you got the will, the want to, and that's about it. Like, well, what are you going to do? I don't know. But when I get out there, it's like you've met people. They come out to California. I'm going to be a rock star. What do you play? Well, nothing. But they got all the will and the want in the world, but they're unfocused and not always untalented. Just there's no place to plug in. But
it's interesting that it was comedy or music, and you kind of do both.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
And so soon after, I was out of the pet shop because I graduated from high school and I was on to other jobs, which, those are fun stories if you want to save those for another day because they're all kind of epic, like the pet shop thing. And even with this pet shop stuff, we, on this particular podcast, and maybe if you ever want to do part 2, because we have barely even put our toe in the sea of pet shop stories.
No, we can do part 2.
There's years of them.
Right.
And mainly, it's just Ian corrupted me because he would come up with an idea. I'm like, no, okay.
This doesn't have anything to do with the pet shop, but one of my favorite stories you've ever told me about you and Ian is when you would scream nice things at people.
Oh, positive abuse.
Yeah, positive abuse.
Yeah. We would drive by people, and sometimes we would do this. He had an old Duster, like from 1428, and we would take the windshield wipers and pull them up and turn them on. So they're kind of sticking like spires away from the car and kind of just like shimmying from side to side. And we would unroll the window. So there's like this ridiculous old green car coming down the street and you see an elderly couple. And you'd beep the horn. Hey, old timers. Old timers. It's a classic Ian. Hey, old timers. And the two elderly people, a little startled, like, oh no, don't throw anything at us. And you just like lean out with like half of your body out the car door and give them the thumbs up. Looking good. And they're like, oh, thank you. Beep, beep. Hey, have a nice day. They're like, oh, you too.
Did you guys do that for years?
Yeah, we did it all the time. And then we had the trouble, what do we call ourselves? The trouble kids, the trouble boys, where we would just walk down streets really fast going, yeah. And like you'd find like a Coke can coming out of a trash can. You'd push it so it hit the ground. You're like, yeah. Or like you kick a newspaper metal dispenser thing. Like you're like, yeah, see, huh? And we're like, yeah, here comes trouble. But we would be like super lightweight with our pants hiked up to our armpits as high as we could. So we looked and tuck our shirts in. So we looked completely just like ridiculous. We're like, yeah, here comes trouble. We are just two young people with, crazy amounts of energy as you have in those days with just some sizzle. I mean, we just the two people like, you know what? Give those two idiots a microphone and let them work it out. We are two people that you should have put in your school play on a stage.
You were in school plays.
Yeah, so was he.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
You guys didn't go to the same school.
No. I wish I would be a better person if I had gone to. I would be a very different person had I gone to his school. I very well may not have been able to do well in his school,
You would have probably gotten a lot of fights, I'm thinking.
or got beat up a lot. Is more like it. Anyway, he was a city boy. Like we both lived in the same neighborhood, but he went to the city high school up the street. I went way out to the suburbs.
Have you guys ever talked about the day you guys shook hands and said either music or comedy? Have you guys ever talked about where you guys both ended up?
We revisit that moment about once a year.
Really?
When we're just walking together. Yeah, we used to, when we were much younger, before we had cars, and even after we did have cars, we would walk. We would just go on these, because you were free, like no parents, no hassle. And we always would talk a lot. We had these big ideas. And we would do these epic walks. I took the old route of one of our epic walks a few years ago. I was in D.C. I said, I'm going to do that old walk again. Damn near dropped me. It's like a good 90 minutes of like big lap. And we would walk on Sunday nights. And whenever we get together now and there's time, we go out walking. We just go to the old neighborhood. We just like strike out into it and just walk for quite a while. And one of us will bring that up every now and then, like, remember that? And like, yeah, that's
the chances that you both have been successful as you are in what you wanted to do, it's like a miracle.
One thing I can say is he was the self-starter. I followed Ian. Ian got into music like he's going to play.
Ian's definitely a leader.
Oh, no. And I would follow him. Always. Like, always. Since we were kids. So he's the guy who got in the band. I'm the one who picked up his gear and carried it to his car trunk. Not that he can't pick up gear. I'm just saying, like, oh, I got the drums. Like, I'm like the fifth guy in the band. I'm always at band practice. I'm hanging out. And like, I'll carry the kick drum. Like, I'll do something. And so Ian would always lead the way. And I'd always be with him. You know, he's Chuck D, I'm Flavor Flav. And it was a good workout because he's the smarter guy. And like, he's the guy he really thinks out of the box. And since we were like so young, and I never had met anyone of my peer group who was so fully formed, a guy with his own opinions who would do the unpopular thing. Like, oh, let's all go out and do this. He goes, nah, that's not for me. And he'd split. We're like, whoa.
I love that.
And then like a year later, we'd all be following him because he's like the guy he's like the sheep on the cover of the Minor Threat record.
Well, he knew who he was at a very young age.
Yeah, and I didn't, like, at all. And so I was very attracted to his self-possession. Not self-absorption, but he was just a guy who knew who he was and where he was going. Like, I'm going to get in a band. And he immediately started looking at classified ads. Keyboard player needed. He played some piano. So he like found some used keyboard, and for a minute was like playing keyboards with somebody for a second. And then he found the guys who became the Teen Idols. They're all Wilson High School guys. And it just happened. But he was always the one going like, I've got an idea. And he would just go do it. And I would just kind of run and keep up. I would kind of run in his dust and just keep up with him. Always. And so our careers, if you will, started, but I got into all the stuff that I'm into now because I was Ian's friend. And also the Bad Brains. One day, HR of the Bad Brains, they were playing a show, and they're doing 2 sets, and he said, you're a singer. And I said, oh, I'm not a singer. I'm just here to watch you. You're the singer. And man, he was such a great friend.
So HR was the first person to say that to you?
Well, he said, you're a singer. And I said, no. He's like, you're a singer, and tonight you're going to sing with the Bad Brains. And I said, I am. And like halfway through the set, Henry's going to sing. And this is like this party, basically. It's not like a gig, like with a big stage or anything. And all of a sudden, he just kind of grabs me, throws me on stage, and I sang Redbone in the City, Bad Brains song. And
did you rehearse this, or did he just throw you up there?
I knew all those songs well enough.
But you guys...
No.
Wow.
And he just threw me up there, and he said, you're a singer.
Did you like it?
Oh, I loved it. I had no fear.
Was that it from that night on?
Well, I said, I wouldn't mind more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of those situations where the 2 songs, it felt like 10 seconds. I was like, oh, can I have 4 more? It was so much fun.
That's when you know you've hit your passion.
Yeah, but there was like no stage fright. I just like, no, I couldn't. Okay. And because all of a sudden the band is playing and you're like, well, I start singing now. But that was a big night for me because like that's quite a guy to tell you you're a singer, because that guy might very well be the most amazing frontman I've ever seen, besides like Lux Interior and Iggy and Nick Cave. You know, people you just can't stop watching. HR is easily as captivating.
I want to put Keith Morris in that same front person.
Yeah, no, Keith is incredible.
He's unbelievable.
You can't watch anything else when he's on stage.
No.
I'd never ask anybody from those days about the Bad Brains and say, how was HR? And they'll go like, they'll be literally at a loss for words for just a moment, because they're just trying to find the words to describe how good that was. And same thing with Lux Interior, like that's just not possible. He was beyond belief. But we'd never seen anything like HR. To this day, I've just never seen a single person take to a stage like that and just kind of blow your mind. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that your first time on stage was with the Bad Brains.
That's really formally. I mean,
but that's pretty cool to start off on that.
Yeah. I mean, one time at band practice, Ian's pre-Teen Idols band was called the Slinkies. And they did Holidays in the Sun by the Sex Pistols. And I went to band practice one day and they said, Henry, you sing it. I said, okay. And they were practicing in an office. So I stood on a desk and sang. It was like just hilarious. It lasted like all of 90 seconds. Then the song fell apart. So they really didn't know how to play it. But, you know, it's all in fun. No one saw it. But with the Bad Brains thing, at least 20 people saw it.
But do you feel like that gave you the spark to go and find your own band?
Yeah, I mean, it made me want to do more of it. I mean, it was a natural in that I felt like, yeah, I should have a mic in my hand yelling and carrying on. And like months later, I was.
There's so many stories we have to share.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy.
I got a few stories.
And you're a great storyteller.
Thank you.
And I love this because now everyone gets to hear these stories. Not just me.
Right. Okay, let's see. Heidi's giving me the wink, which means... Heidi's headlines. The biggest bee in the entire world flies into Heidi's office. She screams for Henry to get it out, but without killing it. Heidi laughs his head off.
Henry
laughs his head off and knocks the bee's lights out. Heidi isn't happy.
I needed you to come get the bee out because if I get stung, I blow up like a pufferfish. Okay. It's not good. Sometimes my throat's going to close. So I say, please come get the bee out. Let's keep it alive. We need our bees.
The best sound came out of Heidi's office the other day. Like, ah! There's a bee in here! And like her fright is completely genuine. I love these moments when she is at the mercy of something because it is so rare.
That's not true.
Anyway, I'm like, oh, there's a bee. It's like, get it out! I said, get out of your office. I've got this. And I go in, close the door. Some poor bee has gotten lost.
And I keep saying, don't kill it.
Don't kill it. Don't kill it. We need our bees, Heidi says over and over. So I swat it out of the air, not against the wall, so its little bug guts didn't come smashing out. But I kind of whacked it out of the air, and it hits the ground and starts crawling around in circles. So I scoop it up on the end of the magazine, and it crawls onto the magazine. And I take it to the window, and I start... okay, goodbye, bee, goodbye, but it won't get off the magazine. So finally, I crack the magazine like against the windowsill, and it flies off. And
it didn't fly off. It fell to the ground.
No, it flies off the magazine and goes into a spiral and kind of goes downward to the ground.
Yeah, it was acting drunk because you knocked its lights out like I told you not to.
Okay, what do you want me to do, Heidi? Put my hand out? Here, Mr. B, land on my hand. I'll take you to the window and go...
Yes, that is what I want.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh... Because if little Heidi May gets stung, she'll have an anaphylactic reaction.
I don't know, but all I know is I blow up.
Her little face will blow up, and it'll just be a blonde, white beach ball with little eyeballs saying like, and so she said, "Did you hurt that bee?" I said, the bee just got dazed and confused. He'll walk it off. Henry, we need our bees.
We do.
Okay.
Have you seen the documentaries?
Hey, yes, I've seen 2 of them. I got it. The bee's fine. The bee's probably in your office right now.
I hope not, but I hope it's fine.
Like Heidi, me too.
You,
And for the Heidi, and for the safety and long life of all bees, let's all put our collective best foot forward. And I guess it's time to go, because bees are good. Like, what's the takeaway from today's podcast, everyone? Henry and Ian were young pranksters, and bees are good. I like bees. I like honey. I like everyone. So let me cue up my favorite track ever. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening. Until we get back to you again, this is Henry Rollins saying goodbye.
and Heidi May. Thank you. Woo! Boo! Boo to you!
Oh, I just remembered another story. Next time you have to ask me about moth protector.
Okay.
Write it down, moth protector.
I'm writing it down.
In fact, I did an episode of moth protector in my room the other night. Goodbye, everyone, and get ready for
Goodbye.
moth protector.